Oh, let's see here. Dear Santa, this is Grandma Kitty, and for Christmas this year, I would like a new house. Oh, no, 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 Grandma Kitty, there is nothing wrong with your house. Let's see. Oh, I know. For Christmas this year, I would like a new car. No, 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 Grandma Kitty, that sounds too greedy. You do not need a new car. Something more practical. I know, books, books. I would like some books. Oh, Grandma Kitty, you have more books than you know what to do with. You don't really need more books. In fact, you don't really need anything. Oh, I know. Oh, I have a better idea. Santa is always bringing stuff for us. I have a better idea. Dear Santa, this is Grandma Kitty. For Christmas this year, I find I have everything I need, and instead, I would like to bring something for you. Is there something that I could bring for you and Mrs. Claus instead, since you always bring gifts for everybody else? Please let me know what you would like. Signed, Grandma Kitty. Oh, that is a splendid idea. 'Tis more blessed to give than to receive, right? Hello there. Welcome to Grandma Kitty's house, and I'm Grandma Kitty, of course. I was just writing my letter to Santa. Did you write your letter to Santa yet? No problem. There's still time. There's still time. You have time to write to Santa. Did you know that letters are important? Wait, I think that sounds like an episode I've already done. Oh, yes, but that one I was talking about the ABCs. This time I'm talking about letters, letters you write and you put them in an envelope and mail them. What's that? Oh, snail mail. You are right. They do call that snail mail. Do you know why they call it snail mail? Well, because, nowadays we have so many quick ways to communicate. We can pick up the phone and call, or we can text somebody and they text back and we get an instant reply, or email. But snail mail, you write a letter and you put it in an envelope and you mail it, and it may take a couple days to get to where you're sending it, and then if your friend or your relative writes a letter back and mails it to you, it takes a couple of days. So it could take days or even weeks to get a reply. So that's why it's called snail mail, because it's slow, like a snail. But letters are important. There was once this 8-year-old girl who wrote a letter. What's that? You're 8 years old? Well, so is it my grandson. Well, 8 is such a fun age. It's just a fun age, don't you think? Well, sometimes 8-year-olds think that they can't make much of a difference in the world. But this 8-year-old girl, she wrote a letter. What's that? No, not to Santa. She wrote a letter about Santa. Yeah, but she wrote this letter over 100 years ago, and people still talk about it today. Look here. I have the story right here. This story is a little bit longer than most of the stories that I read. So you stay with me because it has a happy ending and I think you'll really like it. So this is Yes, Virginia, There Is a Santa Claus, and it was written by Chris Pleahall, I would say. I'm not really quite sure how to pronounce his name, but let's read this together. This is a really good book. Christmas time is full of joy and happiness, usually, but one year long ago, Christmas wasn't very happy at all. Times were hard in New York City, and the weather was especially cold. People hurried through the streets, bundled up against the chill. No one stopped to smile or say hello. Christmas was just a few weeks away, but nobody seemed to even notice. Nobody, that is, except for a girl named Virginia. Virginia loved Christmas. She loved the glittering lights. She loved the joyful carols. But most of all, she loved Santa Claus. She could hardly wait for Christmas Eve when she would set out a plate of cookies and listen for sleigh bells. This year, she even made her very own Santa Claus book. Wow, Virginia's best friend Ollie exclaimed as he looked at the book. We should show Tom and Taylor and George. Come on, let's go. Virginia was a bit nervous about showing it to everybody, but Ollie was already running down the stairs, so Virginia grabbed the book and followed him out the door. At the park, the children gathered around to see Virginia's book. Everyone was so excited they shouted all at once. Last year, Santa brought me a train set, said Tom. He brought me a dollhouse, said Taylor. I got a baseball mitt, shouted George. Did Santa bring you a baby bottle too? Said a voice. Charlotte, the meanest, bossiest, snootiest girl in town, pushed her way forward. You still believe in Santa? Charlotte scoffed. Ha! That's hysterical. No one could travel the whole world in one night. That's not true, said Virginia. Santa is as real as you are. It's baby stuff, teased Charlotte as she grabbed Virginia's Santa Claus book. With a laugh, she held it high above her head. Give it back, said Virginia. Stop it, shouted Ollie, rushing to help. But Ollie tripped and bumped into Virginia, who crashed into Charlotte, who lost her grip on Virginia's book, which landed in the mud with a splat. Oh, that's too bad. Charlotte laughed aloud. Face it, Virginia, she sneered. There is no Santa Claus. She wasn't a very friendly girl, was she? Virginia cradled the wet, muddy book in her hand. She knew in her heart that Charlotte was wrong. There is a Santa Claus, she thought to herself, and I'm going to prove it. What do you think she's going to do? That afternoon, Virginia visited a place she knew was full of answers, the New York Public Library. Let's see, Santa Claus, said the friendly librarian as she pulled book after book from the shelves. In England, his name is Father Claus. In Holland, he's Sinterklaas, read Virginia. In Italy, he's Babu Natalie, Ollie cried. According to this, said the librarian, flipping through a heavy book, he lives in Finland. No, wait, Greenland. And he has a giant goat, Ollie shouted. Virginia looked at the pile of books on the table. She was frustrated. This is all interesting, she said, but none of it tells me if Santa is real. That evening, Virginia passed through Herald Square in the heart of the city. A man with a beard and red hat stood on the street corner. Virginia's heart leaped, but the man was skinny and scraggly, and his beard was tied on with a string. You're not Santa Claus, Virginia said. That's true, I'm not, replied the man. Then why are you dressed like him, Virginia asked. I suppose you could say I work for him, said the scraggly Santa. I do try to do whatever Santa would do if he were here. The man jingled a rusty old bell. He was collecting money for the poor. Shouldn't you be wearing a coat? Asked Virginia. Well, I had one, replied the man, but someone needed it more than I did. See, he gave it to this lady here with the baby. That was very nice of him, wasn't it? That night, Virginia asked her father, is there really a Santa Claus? He began. Someone brought you presents last year, and someone ate the milk and cookies you left out, so logically. But Virginia wasn't listening to her father's long-winded explanation. She was looking at something on her father's desk, a copy of the New York Sun. That's it, Virginia cried. I could write to the newspaper. Well, I suppose you could, said her father. After all, if you see it in the Sun, it's so. Virginia went straight to her desk. She took out a pencil and paper. She began to write a letter to the editor. Dear editor, she wrote, some of my little friends say there is no Santa Claus. Papa says if you see it in the Sun, it's so. Please tell me the truth. Is there a Santa Claus? Virginia smiled. She knew that when the Sun received her letter, the editor would surely give her the answer she needed. She's anxious for a reply, huh? A few days later, Virginia's letter arrived at the newspaper office. Santa Claus, growled Francis Church, editor of the Sun. This is preposterous. We report facts, not fantasies. I don't know, sir, said Lewis, Mr. Church's assistant. Maybe you should answer it. Lewis, people rely on this paper for the truth, said Mr. Church. We need to maintain our credibility. But she's only a child, Lewis pleaded. Everyone grows up sometime, Mr. Church said coldly. He tossed Virginia's letter down the garbage chute, which shut with a loud clang. Oh, no, that's not good. Meanwhile, Virginia sat in her room and moped. She'd been waiting and waiting, but hadn't heard back from the newspaper. I just need some proof, Virginia sighed. Virginia, her mother said, believing in Santa isn't something you prove. It's something you do. Whenever we act like Santa Claus would, we are kind to others. That proves that he is real. Virginia thought about that, and then she remembered someone else who acted like Santa Claus. Suddenly, she had an idea. The next day, Virginia brought scraggly Santa a Christmas present. A new coat, he exclaimed. Just what I needed. Thank you, Virginia, said Virginia. Well, Virginia, he replied, today you're Santa Claus. And even though scraggly Santa was the one wearing the coat, Virginia felt warm inside. If she had done something nice, huh? Oh, isn't that adorable, said a familiar voice. Virginia turned around to see Charlotte standing nearby. On her face was a nasty smile, and in her hand was a crumpled letter. I found this outside the newspaper office, Charlotte said, in a garbage can. Virginia felt a hole in the pit of her stomach. The newspaper had thrown her letter away. She couldn't believe it. With tears in her eyes, she ran as fast as she could. That night, Scraggly Santa burst into Mr. Church's office. "This letter was written by a friend of mine," said Scraggly Santa. "I think you'd better answer it." "I'm sorry, but I only print the facts," replied Mr. Church gruffly. "When people believe, they make the world a better place," he said. "Answer that letter, and you'll give this world and maybe this whole city something to believe in." That night, Mr. Church didn't go home. Long after everyone was asleep, he sat in his office thinking about what Scraggly Santa had said. "If you see it in the sun," he mumbled to himself, "it's so." Virginia wasn't sleeping either. She felt like everything she loved, presents, Christmas, Santa Claus, just didn't matter anymore. "Baby stuff," she sniffed sadly. Poor Virginia, she's so sad. The next morning at breakfast, Virginia stared at her porridge. She didn't feel like eating. She didn't feel like doing anything. Virginia's parents were worried. They had never seen their daughter so upset. Then there was a knock on the door. "Look!" shouted Ollie as he held up a newspaper. Virginia gasped as she read the headline. She couldn't believe her eyes. In the paper was an editorial, a message written just for her. And the headline says, "Is there a Santa Claus?" "Virginia, your little friends are wrong. They do not believe except for what they see. Yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus. He exists as certainly as love and generosity and devotion exist. How dreary would be the world if there were no Santa Claus. It would be as dreary as if there were no Virginias. There would be no childlike faith then, no poetry, no romance. The eternal light with which childhood fills the world would be extinguished. No Santa Claus? Thank God he lives, and he lives forever. 1,000 years from now, Virginia, nay, 10 times 10,000 years from now, he will continue to make glad the heart of childhood." Virginia had never been so happy. There was a magical feeling inside her, bursting to get out. "Merry Christmas!" she shouted to the street below. "Merry Christmas!" replied an old man who was passing by. He had rosy cheeks and a snowy white beard and a twinkle in his eye. Look, he looks like Santa Claus, doesn't he? The old man reached into his coat and handed something to Virginia. It was her Santa Claus book, as good as new. With a tip of his hat, the old man continued on his way. Virginia smiled as she watched him go, and as she stood on the step, book in hand, Virginia thought the whole world seemed to glow a bit brighter. Oh, isn't that a nice story? And like I said, that was all because of an 8-year-old girl who wrote a letter to the editor. You know, she wrote that back in 1897, over 100 years ago, and it's still very, very important, a very important part of Christmas, of our holiday. Now, an editor, do you know what an editor is? He picks what articles and things to put in the paper. Yet, so he has an important issue, an important job to do. And so it was good of him to take time to reply to Virginia. So, you know, her story has been made into a book, it's been made into a movie, it's been made into a song. My goodness. And all because of an 8-year-old girl who wrote a letter. So see, letters are important. So I thought today we could talk about writing letters to Santa. I have a poster here. So this is the proper way to write a letter to Santa. You want to start with "Dear Santa," and then tell Santa who you are and where you live, and be considerate and ask Santa how he has been, and think about Santa, right? And then maybe list some good things you've been doing, some things throughout the year that you've been doing, and then politely request the things you want for Christmas. You don't want to be rude or demanding or greedy. And then think of others in need and ask for something for them. And then be sure to thank Santa for whatever he brings. So I found this stocking that says "Letters to Santa," and you know, there's some letters in there. So let's just read some of these letters and see what we have here. All right, this one here. Yo, Santa. Oh my, we are not off to a good start. John Smith here. For Christmas, I want a new truck. I ain't gonna tell you where I live. You came to my house last year, so you should remember. See ya, Santa. And it's signed Johnny. Oh my, I don't even know what to do with this letter. Yo, Santa, he didn't address it right? And he did tell us who he was, but not where he lived. And I ain't gonna tell you where I live. That's not even proper English. Let's just set that one aside and move on. Let's see here. Hey, Santa. My name is Joseph Johnson. You probably remember me from last year when you gave me a lump of coal in my stocking because I was bad. He must have been very bad to get a lump of coal. I tried to do better this year, but my mom would probably say I didn't. But anyway, can you please bring me some army men this year instead of coal? Thank you, Santa. And it's signed Joey. So let's see. He told us who he was, but not where he lives. And he said he did try to do better this year, and he did say thank you. So well, this one's a little bit better than the first one, but let's keep trying and see what we have here. This one says, hello, Santa. This is Caroline Jones, and I live in the big yellow house on Mulberry Street in Greenville. How have you been, Santa? I hope everything is going well at the North Pole. Now, you might notice I have included a long list of things I want, but I think I have been very good and deserve all of it. So please, don't forget any of it, or I will be very disappointed. Take care, Santa. Love, Caroline. Oh, she had a good start. She told us who was she. She said, Dear Santa. Oh, no, hello, Santa. And told us who she was and where she lived and asked Santa how he'd been. But then she was kind of demanding, wasn't she? She had a long list of things, and she said she'd be disappointed if you didn't bring it all. Oh, let's just try another one. Oh my. This one says, Santa baby. I am Olivia Cook, and I live at 184 Main Street in Charlottesville. I hope you have been well, and the elves have been healthy and well. So Santa, for Christmas this year, I want a Barbie Jeep. You know what I mean, a car that I can sit in and drive. My parents won't buy me one because they say it's too expensive. So it's up to you, Santa. And Santa, if you don't bring one, oh my, then I will kick and scream and ruin Christmas for my whole family. Don't laugh, Santa, I'm not joking. Thank you, Santa. Olivia. Oh my, you know, she didn't say, Dear Santa, she said, Santa baby. There is a song called Santa Baby. Maybe that's where she got it. But she told us who she was and where she lived. And she started out well, saying that she hoped the elves and Santa were well. And then she kind of fell apart. Kick and scream and ruin Christmas for her whole family? Well, that is not very nice. That would not be fair, would it? Very sad. We're just going to set that one aside, and let's try another one. Oh, hi, Santa. My name is Elizabeth Owens, and for Christmas, I would like a white unicorn. Please don't bring it down the chimney, because it will get dirty. You can use the front door and just leave it on the couch. Thank you, Santa. I will leave some milk and cookies for you on the table, and some biscuits for the reindeer, too. I love you, Elizabeth, XOXOXO. Do you know what XO means when people sign XO? It means hugs and kisses. Oh, she sounds like a sweet little girl, doesn't she? So let's see, she said, hi, Santa, instead of dear Santa, but then she said her name. Oh, she didn't tell us where she lives, and she did say, please and thank you, so she used her manners, but she wasn't very specific. Does she want a little unicorn or a great big unicorn? It just says a white one, and she doesn't want it to be dirty. But, well, that's not too bad a letter. Let's try another one and see what we have. Oh, this one says, Dear Santa. Oh, off to a good start here. This is Dylan Wright, and I live at 72 Grove Street in Brookfield. I hope you, Mrs. Claus, the elves, and the reindeer have all had a good year. Oh, he sounds like a nice boy. I have tried to be really good this year and listen to my parents and pick up my toys. For Christmas this year, can you please bring me some new Matchbox cars and a Nerf gun? Oh yeah, and can you please bring a new Binky for my baby sister? She keeps losing hers, and the only way we can make her be quiet is to stuff a Binky in her mouth. And thank you for whatever you can bring me. Love, Dylan. Well, okay, he said, Dear Santa. He told us his name and where he lives, and he said that he hoped all had been well with Mrs. Claus and the elves and all, and he said he had tried to be really good and listen to his parents and pick up his toys, and he did say please, and he did say thank you, but the part about stuffing a Binky in his sister's mouth to keep her quiet, well, I just don't know what I think about that. So, but you know, not a bad letter, and getting better. Let's try one more and see what we have. Dear Santa, my name is Sophia Williams, and I live at 29 Reed Circle in Simonsville. I have missed you, Santa, and I and I hope you have been okay. I have been really good this year, helping my mom take care of my baby brother and cleaning the house too, and I have done really well at school. For Christmas this year, I don't really need much. If you could bring me a new doll and a couple of outfits for her, I would be very happy with that. Oh, and Santa, there is a homeless shelter in town. Can you bring them a Christmas ham with all the fixings so they can have a nice meal on Christmas Day? Thank you for whatever you bring and the joy you bring at Christmas time. Oh, and don't forget to eat the milk and cookies we will leave for you. Love, Sophia. Well, ding, 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 ding. I think we have a winner. I think this is a perfect letter. She said, "Dear Santa," she told us who she was and where she lives, and she said she'd missed him and hoped all had been well. And then she told how she'd been really good helping with her mom and her baby brother and did really well at school. And then she was very polite, said she didn't really need much, but and then she asked for the homeless people. Oh my goodness, and said thank you. This is a very nice letter. I am very proud of Sophia. All right. Well, you know, we're going to move on to Move and Groove. And this time, Grandma Kitty is not going to move and groove much. I'm going to just kind of act out this song. This will be fun. So let's see how we do here. All right. Are you ready? Oh, here we go. Here we go. Hop up off that couch and you can move and groove. All right. Here we go.
Jolly old Saint Nicholas, bring your ears way. Don't you tell a single soul what I'm going to say. Christmas Eve is coming soon. Now, you dear old man, whisper what you'll bring to me. Tell me if you can.
Isn't this a fun song?
When the clock is striking 12, when I'm fast asleep, down the chimney broad and black, with your pack you'll creep. All the stockings you will find hanging in a row. Mine will be the shortest one, you'll be sure to know.
Oh, look how short it is. Oh my goodness.
Julie wants a pair of skates, Susie wants a sled, Nellie wants a storybook, one she has in red.
This would be a good one.
I think I'll look to you, what you give the rest. Choose for me, dear Santa Claus, where do you think it's best?
Oh, look at this. How about that? Oh, isn't that a fun song? Oh, so you know we need to move on quickly to our bee basket. So let's see. Remember, our bee basket is the things we want to be. All right, so this says, oh, look at that. Be satisfied. And you know, this sign tells us what satisfied means. It says, I will be happy with whatever you bring me. All right, so what happens if you find a Mr. Goodbar in your stocking? And Grandma Kitty loves Mr. Goodbars because, see, it's good, and Grandma Kitty loves good. It's always good to be good, right? What if you find a Mr. Goodbar in your stocking and you wanted a Hershey bar? Should you be upset that you didn't get what you wanted? No, because Hershey bars are good, and Mr. Goodbars are good, and you know, there's a lot of kids that don't have candy, you know. In some other countries, they don't have candy. You're lucky to get what you get. You know, my grandson, you know what he says? And he gets this from me. I taught him well. He says, he doesn't say it quite right. He says, get what get and be happy. And what he means is you get what you get and you be happy with it. And that's something that I taught him, that, you know, you just need to be happy. Maybe it's not exactly what you wanted, but it's something, it's a gift. And a gift, you know what a gift is? Something you didn't have before, right? Something you didn't pay for, something that somebody gave you because they love you very much, right? So be satisfied with whatever you get, right? So I hope that you have a very good Christmas. And, you know, I said that I decided I was going to give instead of receive. So I was thinking maybe I'll make a chocolate pie for Santa. What do you think? I love chocolate pies. Do you think that would be a good gift for Santa? I think that would be a very good gift. So I think I'll go start working on it. Make that chocolate pie for Santa. So you take care and you stay healthy and safe and happy and you be satisfied with all your gifts. And I'll see you next time after I'm done making my chocolate pie. You take care. Bye-bye.